Right on.
Hey,
Feed them to the lions. This is gonna be an exciting one, isn't it, my guy?
it's always, yeah, it seems to be never unexciting. I don't even know if that's a word in this space. But yeah, just as soon I was about to put a tweet out earlier and basically say anybody following Archer, just know kind of pre-earnings reports. You usually don't get a lot of information in about the 2 weeks leading up to the earnings report. So, I mean, be it that it's February 10th already. I mean, we're kind of right in that ballpark of right about 2 weeks or so coming up on the earnings report. So I wouldn't expect any like really major updates. I know we've been keeping an eye on SEC filing forms, be it either the Form 144s from the eVTOL companies with any sales, or Schedule 13s taking the 5% ownership. And then again, like you were saying earlier, to the 13Fs and the institutional backing. So even when Archer might not be putting some news out, there's still something to be found. So yeah,
I feel like it's one of those.
yeah,
We can't ever have the excuse of it being a quiet day because there's always something to dive into. But you know what? I was having a bit of fun on X earlier and having a few back and forwards with a few of the guys, having a bit of fun. And then didn't I spot a lovely friend, Culper Research, have put out another short report on Archer. Do you know what? Did you know anything about Culper Research before they put out that original short report?
No, not me particularly. The first thing I did when I saw them put out the short report was I just wanted to see what other short reports they had out. One was on like AppLovin, and I don't want to misquote any of the 2 or 3 other names. And then I just did a basic stock comparison chart on where that equity had basically rise or fallen since the report came out. And it was basically about 3 of 3 that it all, they weren't major explosive doubles or anything like that, but the stocks were still up 3%, 5%, 7% since Culper initiated their short report. So in my particular eyes, they didn't nail it on specific other short reports. And we know, like we were saying earlier, that I think it was May 20th of 25 that they had put it out. I remember it. I remember you and Reese was on. I was actually with my boy at Taekwondo, and I had it in my ear, and I was like burning. I'm like, oh man. I was like, gotta get him on. I was like, man, this. What a day for Culper to drop the 2025 short report. But like you say, here we are, 2026, and for this, that, or whatever reason, it seems like they're trying to pull another one over on.
I said it on X, it ain't our first rodeo when it comes to Culper. Guys, anyone that has ever been in Archer Aviation for any longer than, 12 months? It's not 12 months, probably about 9 months or so. Yeah, this is our good old friend Culper. They come around once a year, and they love to put in a dig, then they ride off into the sunset. And normally it does affect the stock price, but it didn't actually look too bad. I know they did drop in the middle of the day. They're down 2.71%, but if we compare that to even like Joby was, where did I see them at?
Yeah, I was kind of in and out.
4.39% down.
Yeah, no, fair point, and kind of jumping in and all around the market, and we'll definitely stick with the eVTOLs. But there's unfortunately, I saw Beta after I reallocated, except my IPO share. I held my IPO share.
Okay.
If Beta makes it, that's going on the wall. We'll hang that back here. But yeah, opportunity costs and such. And you never know when it's a good time to buy. Never know when it's a good time to sell if you don't have that crystal ball. But yeah, I was like, opportunity cost on Beta, maybe time to reallocate. But yeah, I think the last time I checked, what was it, about 18%? They're actually, excuse me. No, it's and that's after hours, almost 20% after hours on Beta. So that's quite an after hours move.
And for anyone that doesn't know, Wild Saddle, big thank you, my guy, has just fired it in there. Amazon may have taken a 5% stake in Beta. And yeah, look, he's saying that Archer gets 5% 10% stakes here and there, and we just keep going down. And we will cover that. Look, what we are here for today is I haven't ran this by Dylan, but in my words, to debunk the Culper report.
Yeah.
I've had multiple people on X atting me left, right, and center, wants to know our opinions on it. And I thought, do you know what? There's no better time than just to go live. Yeah, because at least when we're live, people can ask questions as they want. I find if I put out a video, sometimes people listen to half it and then they form an opinion based on half of what we've said. So there's no better time to go live. There's already, 65 people watching. Do smash that like button. Jonathan has said it there. Do smash that like button.
Thank you, John.
And guys, if you want to engage in the chat, this is a subscriber-only stream. So look, completely free. Bang that subscribe button. You'll make that wheel up on top of the screen flick around just like I like. But yeah, feel free, jump in, have your say, whether it's good or bad. Like, I don't mind if you're completely with Culper and you think we're completely wrong. Do jump in. We're not going to bite. Put it that way.
And I think go for it. Oh no, I was gonna say, I think you said it perfectly. Where this is a great time, not just for us to speak our thoughts on it, but to have that opportunity for the chat and the community to come together and really start firing back and forth. And just like you said, whether it's pro-Culper, anti-Culper, trying to weed through the mess in the middle of it, or get through the words in the middle of it. Yeah, fire it away and let's debunk this thing. Wait, and I'm sorry, what were you gonna say too?
And yeah, I'm just gonna jump across to the chat and say hello to the guys. We're already over 100 people in everyone's dying for this Culper report. They really want to know what you have to say, Dylan. I'm just gonna sit back. Wild Saddle, big shout out, my guy. I've seen Wild Saddle, you've put in loads of information there. I'm not going to fire it up on the screen just because I want to get a fresh look at the report, just so we're not swayed going into it. Bag says, don't say they did transition without mentioning there was a subscale empty prototype. Okay, mate, we will get onto that now. 127 of you here. Bang that subscribe button as you're getting in. And do interact with us here in the chat. Andrew, big shout out. Hey, gentlemen, hope you're doing well. Do you know what? I had a great birthday yesterday, chilled out. I was going to go live, but I didn't. Do you know what? I just chilled out. But thank you so much, Andrew. Dyke Jackson, good evening, gents. Big shout out, Mike. Guy 5 being here. Christian says, VTOL Buzz.
Hey.
Big shout out. Dominic says, Culper is only for a year-long position. Culper is only for a year-long position, not long-term. Things change all the time with these companies. When will Joby get the next 250 million investment from Toyota? Are they still waiting for a milestone? We will cover Joby just after this. I am aware that loads of people are here. Some for AX got its certificate issued date on 9th, 26, 25, 4.5 months later, still no flight.
So
okay.
Yeah, go on that one, Lee.
Right. Are we going to step into the ring, my guy?
Mine as well. Tag team, right? Tag us both in. Let's go. Let's do it.
Right. I cannot find the Culper report up on their website, so we're going direct from X. No, it's been a long time since I've shared my screen, so give me 2 seconds to work this out.
Of course.
How did you feel when you originally seen it?
You know, and not to be brash or chip on the shoulder, when initially it was Culper, I'm just kind of like, I feel like I know this character before. You know, let's be open-minded. Let's see what they have to say this time, and let's see if it falls in line with what factually has or has not happened within the company, which could ring true at some points. And then also, what are some of those things where, again, even I've said for myself, where I don't turn the blind eye and I really do study the interviews and certain videos from the CTO very carefully. And you can miss a 10-second clip where even you're hearing Archer over a year ago talk about we're doing a CTOL regime. You know, we're opening that envelope of testing. But you know, always curious. But I think for me, kind of in this last month or so, I personally haven't had grandiose expectations for Archer. You know, I think gearing up for 704AX and to the timeline and guidance that has been set by the company is basically what I'm sitting back and feeling maybe no panic or no rush to personally. So yeah, I say let Culper take their best shot, and you know, let's see how many of them we can swap. Let's see how many we can truly debunk from this research company.
I'm actually a lot more confident about debunking this one than I even was the last one. So, guys, any Archer investors, put it this way, I'm not that worried. I know many have jumped in and fired back at me all day, but you know what? We'll crack on with it. So, guys, anyone that doesn't know who Culper Research is, they are, in my opinion, a short of bollocks. But they're short analysts. They short companies. They go around betting on other people not doing too well, put it that way. And I said, what a cracking business. Going around just hating on people. But anyway, we are again short Archer Aviation. We've not commented publicly on Archer Aviation for some time, but believe the company continues to mislead investors. And for anyone that doesn't know, the whole previous report was all to do with Archer misleading investors. Feel free to jump in and read it. But we believe that the company continues to mislead investors and may also have Reg FD problems. We have 3 simple questions for the CEO, Adam Goldstein. So we're just going to crack straight on to the first one. Archer on November 6, 25 had their conference call, and CTO did say the first TIA campaign with the FAA could happen as soon as the end of this year. I completely agree. He did say that. However, he said it may happen at the end of this year. We're now only a month into the following year. And like, it is what it is. Not like it could happen as soon as the end of this year. Are you telling me that you've never heard Elon Musk say a timeline that may happen? The Roadster.
Absolutely.
The Roadster may be announced. The biggest announcement of all time may happen as soon as the end of the year. Who's short Tesla on that reason? I don't know many people.
Apparently not Culper, right? You know?
CEO Goldstein said, we're now nearing completion of the piloted CTOL flight regime, which we believe they were, and the piloted VTOL testing would be next. But they haven't added in that he said in Q1. Now we're halfway through Q1.
That's true.
And yes, we can say there's no VTOL piloted, but he didn't say within the first half of Q1. He said it'll be complete in Q1. So until Q1 is complete, we can't go, like, just because you are upset that Archer is not hitting your synthetic timelines in your head, and you're getting a little bit worried, a little bit ants in your pants, and look, you're not truly a long-term investor. Yeah, if you are worried between November and January that something hasn't been done when it has been projected to be completed in Q1. Now, if we're talking after Q1 and this came out, 100%, yeah, then we can have questions because they have missed the timeline. Adam openly said that it wouldn't happen in Q4. It was being pushed to Q1. We all are fully aware of that. Yeah. So back in June, I think they projected it could be Q4, but Adam then reiterated that it'll be happening in Q1. So it's not that they hid behind a blanket and it's only coming out now. We knew that was the case. Have you any comments on them points?
Yeah, great points that you made, Liam. Definitely second and third, all of those. As far as I know, and feel free to correct me, I think it's the Q4 earnings call that, is coming up in a week or two. So again, when I'm looking at a quarterly earnings call with a Q4 on the end of it, and again, the VTOL campaign or regime was to take place in Q1. To me, in my head, I haven't even started the clock on that. I think for me, anything that's going on at the production facilities, and maybe we'll go into what can be described as final assembly and what may hold a company back from going to like full production on something that was in final assembly. And then also, I guess maybe I'll just squeeze this in here. It was something that I had to go kind of search through my X and figure out, when it was and where it was and all that good stuff, because I just kind of had this thought pop into my head and I meant to mention it on the eVTOL Weekly. So I apologize for you guys for that. But back in October of 25, there was the ADBS signal that was transmitted. And it was located. So I'm not saying that Archer powered on or did anything more than what they did. I did a little bit of research back then to basically figure out the street address and where this ping was coming from. All indications that I was finding at that time was leading it back to what was described as an NVIDIA warehouse. So it was like, and again, there's so much going on in these eVTOL companies and the eVTOL world, and you try to wrap your head around everything and retain all that information as you're soaking all the new stuff in. And then I just kind of had this shower thought, and I'm like, okay, wait a second. At CES, we had the partnership announced with the NVIDIA for the IGX store to be put on. And I did crowdsource it a little bit. And there were some opinions that to implement the software, you may be doing a general powering on of that ADBS system. And that, to integrate that software as well. So, something that, Liam's had me curious of too, where are you going to basically continue to push your aircrafts towards final production if you now know that you're implementing this new grade of software in? And if you are integrating a new software in, is a company not allowed to have a month per se to just kind of timeline that back a little bit? So going
and I want
from
to tie one
yeah,
person
for it.
in there. So
Yeah.
Bagger Holden has always said that the weight is constantly changing on these aircrafts. So as Dylan's hitting on there, they know IGX4 is now being integrated into their whole platform. So whether it's sensors, etc., going onto the Midnight, these have to be fitted onto the Midnight. Now, whether it weighs an extra kilo or weighs an extra 15 kilos, this is going to all play into how much weight the aircraft can lift and, again, play into certification. So, IGX Tour was only announced back in January. So, we haven't given time for them to fit it on the Midnight. And for anyone that's saying, look, they haven't flown in 3 months. I don't know. Do you know what? We'll get onto that point. I don't want to outjump it. But
see, we're all ready to hit the TKO. It's like we're ready to get the 3 count going. No, but solid points there, Liam. And just on a quick search, I never want to give incorrect information, but I'm just going to read it directly as it is. The NVIDIA IGX Thor platform, when configured as the automotive grade drive AGX Thor development kit, weighs approximately 6.2 kilograms, about 14 pounds. So I don't want to say that as if for an automotive vehicle, if that was to be installed, that it maybe could be higher weight capacity versus what would be put onto the aircraft system. But no, great point you made there, Liam, where again, if you're going to go and you're going to be running your flight test and your flight data, one, I would assume you would want to run that data having the ability to use your IGX, as well as, like you're saying, having to the true conforming size and weight of your aircraft as you're opening up that next test envelope in the next test regime. So no, solid points.
Because if not, in the next report, it'll be that Archer transitioned and flew without their full flight weight of the aircraft. So therefore, the test is invalid. That'll be the next thing that would come up. So why don't we want the most up-to-date aircraft that we have? But jumping across to the next point, Culper says, yet flight logs suggest Archer has not engaged in a single ground or air test for the past 3 months. Further, Archer does not appear to have obtained an airworthiness certificate for N704AX. They couldn't even fly it if they wanted to. Dylan, what's your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts are, what we're going to do as the Hustle Brothers is we're going to put in a special request. We're actually going to get some further documents from the FAA. So we basically have that in process. So we'll definitely run it either live, or Liam will, I'm sure, cut the video as well as that information comes back in. You know, a few things jump through my mind, and again, not in a broken record sense, but I think in this, in a way where we're stepping up to dispute what Culper has put into their report. As I see it, and as I feel like I know it, Archer Aviation is not just a commercial air taxi business. So the airworthiness, there's certain components. They're still really tight in the works with Andrew. So there's still that split off between what FAA certification is going to take and then what to get to the project that they're working on Andrew with as well. And, you know, I would say actually when they were doing the initial airworthiness, I would, because that date, they were doing the certification date 9/26/2025. So again, not saying this would be the one and only reason, but even if you paired the NVIDIA to that, that's a whole new flight system operations, and maybe you're not looking to, you know, follow through with the quote unquote airworthiness cert. And again, Archer's always pushed safety. I don't think that they are in any way of a rush to just show us a piloted VTOL or a piloted transition VTOL just to basically make the news, you know, to make the PR of it. I just don't totally agree with it. But what are you thinking, Liam?
Yeah, so I'm looking. They haven't logged their flights for 3 months. Well, again, we're hitting on that point. If they know 704AX is the only aircraft that's able to transition with a pilot on board, well then, yes, we're stuck in that circle that we need NVIDIA IGX4 on the aircraft. We believe that they have completed out their CTOL envelope. They've completed that campaign. So,
yeah,
in my opinion, I can't see what more they can do with that CTOL. We've said it before that CTOL aircraft, well, do you know what? I'm going to nick your information for saying that. Do you want to explain why they were going for the CTOL envelope? Because you were actually doing research.
Yeah, no, but always you can. So in my general way of speaking, again, for anybody who hasn't seen it, I would highly advise you go back to a video that Archer has on also, I would say their page and some of their employees' pages as well, where they've spoken to. It really is. The video is called The Hangar, and honestly, for me, I find it a beautiful video. You have Tom walking through the CTO, and he's literally talking about the way they designed the landing gear. And I know it may sound silly to some, but when we're looking at having this aircraft take off and land safely, especially the landing, what would I be looking for? A very robust landing gear that's going to have the smoothest touchdown, and have the closest to 0 points of failure, and be able to, you know, sustain the weight of that aircraft as it comes down. That was also put in as really a mechanism to allow their aircraft to perform the CTOL flights. So even back, I would say last summer, we were told as investors that there was going to be a CTOL flight regime. And I think, even for myself, I wanted the VTOL, and I still had to then kind of wrap my head around. So even when Adam was saying a piloted flight was imminent, I did say that it would have been great if he could have came out on that earnings call and just kind of been a little bit more open and saying, we're starting a CTOL envelope and this is why we're doing it. And let's push forward. And we're working on, the VTOL transition as well. But we've kind of known that from the switch to the four-blade F rotors, there's been open and honesty to me. So I just don't feel like kind of the smoke's been blown. I feel like I almost have a clearer picture on what Archer's aircrafts or where Archer's aircraft is in the stage now versus looking at like a shareholder letter and looking at the deck, say a year ago. I'm being a bit more confused of what this 12% of, general where they're at in the certification process, and really trying to kind of noodle that out and figure out, what is the other 88% that needs to be completed, and what is the 12% that they're able to feel that confident with. But I don't, I don't want to compare it versus others. I want to stick to Archer being Archer. It's an aircraft company that it's not in their infancy. They've had 5 years on New York Stock Exchange with some additional years which were leading up to that to kind of get your prototypes and maker going out and such. But yeah, to me, they've been pretty upfront and honest. And again, I know Elon can get a lot of kind of that wiggle room, and it's like, oh, okay, Roadster didn't come by end of year, so we're not going to cut Tesla down to 200, and there's more of a story in there. And when Roadster hits in April or so, that will do whatever it does to the stock at that time. But these are aircraft being built. I don't think it's anything to be taken lightly, both on the build, the manufacturing, the structure, and the safety on these aircrafts as they're rolling them out. And again, Adam said he's not ready to get in one until he feels like it's a completely safe aircraft. And so they've made that decision months ago to switch from the 2 to the 4 aft in the rear. And for me, I still check the flight radar, but it's not the same as I was last summer, where it's like in that expectation of a flight. It's kind of like, oh, I got the tab open, I'm gonna check it. Hey, who knew? It's still that like wanting to be surprised Archer investor in me. There's still always that optimist investor in me with them. But again, I on the timeline that they're in, it's not a concern to me.
I want to jump in there. Like, I don't know, is it just me, and is it because we research it all the time? But when I read this short report, I was more concerned about the previous short report, because it did make me look at it, and I was like, okay. This one, I am certain I have an answer to every single one of them, and like the amount of people that were atting me and saying, I want to see your opinion on this, and the amount of people that saying like we're just pro Adam. Look, Adam hasn't done anything wrong in this last quarter that I'm like, I don't know what we're doing. Like, it feels like it's I don't know, it's coming to this time of year again. We better look at Archer again. And then we've done a lazy report. And we can, as we get throughout the report, you can see that some of the language they're using in what is meant to be a professional report. Like, I know I can fly off the handle at sometimes, but look, I am not a professional analyst. But I don't know, some of the information, I'm like, it's either factually wrong or they've picked and chose what bits to include and what not to include. But you'll understand throughout. I want to jump back to the comments because loads of them.
Yeah, I'd love to hear. Yeah, I'd love to hear what's saying.
Ivy Double says, please don't skip Joseph and Alex circle back. Yeah, so I do have them starred. I know Joseph did say about the next tranche for Toyota, so we will get back to all that. I promise, my guy. Joseph says, if there's any truth in the short report, do you think Goldstein will end up in the cell next to Trevor Mill? Do you know what? We'll come back to that question as well at the end, because I want to tackle the whole short report versus Archer and a short report versus Adam Goldstein himself, because I don't want to get too much into it. But in short, I actually think the last one as well is more targeting Goldstein than it is Archer. But they're trying, I don't know. I'll explain it later on. If it's a buzz, NVIDIA will be a game changer. It really will, my guy.
Agree.
Rose, I'm late. I'm late to the
Right on
party.
time.
What do you mean Culper shorted Archer? So Culper, I don't know, I can't remember how long you were in Archer roles, but Culper is a short analyst, and they shorted Archer last year, caused the stock to absolutely catastrophically collapse. And do you know what? They're back to their old tricks again. But look, it ain't our first rodeo with them, so we're just debunking it. Well, guys, there's 300 of you here between X and YouTube. Do smash that like button. Also, smash that subscribe button. I want to get up to 5,000 as quick as we can.
And it'll be interesting too, Liam, just in the sense of timeline, just what I remember from last year. These were really the months where Archer was that trading vehicle where, again, it wasn't necessarily the catalyst news that was coming out, but generally just through the trading volumes and stuff, you would have the 3 to 5% kind of up days, and then, kind of finding like your general, like where it would end up consolidating at as well. So again, I can't say that all the length of time that, you'll find some intradays 3 and 5% up on the eVTOLs and the Archers. But I'm kind of seeing that kind of the January, February, March months, it seems like this is more when the team's at work. And we're going to, get that Q4 update. And I think that's going to be really exciting to hear, again, what the CEO, CTO has on the prepared remarks. And it'll be interesting to also see when we get to the analyst questions, because last time it was so focused on which, just as a side note, if you look at what SFO is looking like with private jets coming into the Super Bowl this year, do take a look at Super Bowl 56, which was held in 2022 at SoFi Stadium. And do just take a look at both the, I guess you would say, revenue brought in from the amount of private jets that were flying in within that like 3 to 14-day range. And I know Adam has said Hawthorne's not really about putting revenue on the books, it's EBITDA positive. But again, I think, in my opinion, I think as the Super Bowl closed, we're almost leading up to kind of starting this new New Year's calendar for me on Archer. And it's almost like, as opposed to January 1, it's like seeing what they have to do from what's today? Tuesday? So basically from whenever the Super Bowl ended to coming up to this next Super Bowl. And just as a side note, I was kind of going back and forth in my head because I saw that NBC was doing the Super Bowl, but they were also hosting the Winter Olympic Games. So I was a little curious, as Adam has spoken and was even very transparent with Molly on the involvement with Fallon, and was really saying where, again, NBC, these are television networks and there's television stories that come into play. So when he hooked up with Fallon and they were like, oh, can I, maybe we can give him a jacket. And he's like, oh, maybe we can give him a pilot's jacket, kind of playing into that. So part of me was like, I almost wondered if NBC would be giving any coverage to Archer. But I think for me, there was no reason to, because why are you going to promote the LA 28 Summer Games when you're in the midst of wanting to have that viewership on the 26 Winter Games? So that was something I was just kind of able to noodle out for myself as well.
Thank you so much for that, Dylan. Next one is one of my favorite.
Go for it.
So Archer claimed in May 25 that it was assembling multiple aircraft scheduled for pilot testing later in 2025. And that is true. Up until June, we didn't know about that CTOL campaign. And piloted testing, did they not achieve piloted testing with the CTOL variant?
Yes, they did.
VTOL transition, they did say it was going to be Q4, and they later changed that to Q1. So That's completely transparent. That's not misleading investors.
Mm-hmm.
In August 25, we now have 6 more in production and 3 of those in final assembly. In November 2025, we're assembling our initial fleet. Where are they? Okay. Guys, this applies to Joby too. What is the point on pushing these through final assembly until we are satisfied with the performance of the aircraft? The aircraft is still going through testing phase. Or do you want to call that they're not happy with the design, etc.? They might love their design, but if the FAA don't certify it, they're going to have to change their design. So there's no point pushing these 6 through final assembly and then 3 more through final assembly and push them all through ready for flight. And next thing we have to change to that. Look, if we pushed all them through, now we have to put IGX4 software on all of them, or hardware onto all of them, and then we're back to square one again. So why push them through final assembly? Why not just leave them waiting?
Well, when we talk about the kind of the spend of investor money and stuff, as an investor in the company, I'll pose it to you. It could be rhetorical, or you can answer it, in the chat too. What would you rather have? Would you rather have 9 that go through final assembly only to know that there's some STC, some type of special conforming piece that needs to be adjusted, and then we're scrapping 3 to 9 aircraft, or continuing to build out what, again, we are pushing to what will be, and again, it's a whole new flight category that has been created. There's no like aircraft or manual to like go back to and it'd be like, okay, if we build our eVTOL this way, it will be certified by the FAA. Like, this is groundbreaking technology. This is a one of a kind, really, aircraft that is coming out. So yeah, I would rather have the company that I'm investing in be a little bit more patient and be sure that when we are doing the power on, that we're ready for FAA certification. Honestly, it's a lot of things where if I look back a year ago, whether it was, whether it was me wanting a piloted VTOL and not getting it, there was the talk that I'll never be able to even put a pilot in the seat of an aircraft and take off, and they've reached their own milestones. They've done their 10K flight, altitude model above sea level milestone. And even pushing to, I was always curious about what was going on in the Covington facility down there in Georgia. So I don't particularly feel that I need to rush. And if you think about it, you got 3 in final assembly, 6 more. We've always kind of talked about kind of that key number in for, because again, to splice them up for EIPP, FAA, and then possibly UAE is going to be around maybe that 10 to 15 range. So by having 9 aircraft, which again, final assembly, and then getting the road of the other 6 down to final assembly, I don't feel like they're too far behind the ball. Would I like to see him VTOL after that earnings call in which Adam spoke? Of course. But I'm okay with having a safe aircraft and with continued guidance updates from the CEO, letting us know when those timelines are being pushed back a little bit.
Guys, 504 you in here. Smash that subscribe button as we're going through. This comment made me laugh, my guy. FAA doesn't approve the design. They certify the safety factor of the design. Okay. Read your own comment again. So they don't approve the design, yeah? But they certify the safety factor of the design. So what happens if they don't certify the safety factor? What happens if they fail that? They have to change their design.
Sure.
Yeah, so don't try and be smart. Charity, you need an aircraft in the air and a lot of flights to get certified in the first place. And that's what they're going to do, my guy. Any chance they do an offering? I actually, do you know what? I'll address that at the end, my guy. Just got home. Cheers and the best. Big shout out for that video you done for me yesterday, Tony. I actually loved it. He was flying around me. Loved it.
That's so cool, though.
there's no sense in doing anything but proving the concept is possible. Factories, infrastructure, nothing. Electric taxis haven't even been shown to be possible. They could have waited on. Well, look, I kind of agree with you there, Bag. There's no point done mass rolling out if they haven't proved the concept of the transition flight yet.
Absolutely.
I want to jump on to the next one. At the time, this is a cracker. This is an absolute cracker. At the same time, a recent Glassdoor review alleges that Archer hasn't even finalized the aircraft design and is willing to break safety regulations and put people in danger. Yeah, and look, I can read it for you there. Company straight up misleads candidates. How far along the company is when they haven't even finalized the aircraft design. And Archer does not care about core values and willing to break safety regulations and put people in danger in order to come out on top. Now, let me double check there. It doesn't even say what he wants, so he could have been working in the canteen. But anyway, anyone could have put that up. I could have turned around and put that up. Culper could have put it up. Anyone could put it up. Bag of Holding could put it up. I'm sorry, Bag. I didn't. You're just on the screen there. Anyone could have put it up. Yeah. Put it this way: if I don't like my employer, I want to throw them under the bus for anything. Yeah. And I will say absolutely all I can, especially if I'm anonymous. I can say whatever I want. And really, what can they do about it? This is what these open forums are for. So,
and again, you know, like you say, the Glassdoor comment to a particular lawsuit, and I'll leave the company unnamed, and you know, just in the sense of not feeling like I want to bash another company against Archer short report or Culper short report on Archer. That's an open door comment versus a Glassdoor comment versus an open lawsuit or a new suit that has gone out on other aviation companies in the eVTOL space, with those categorized both as whistleblower suits and basically unfair labor lawsuits as well. So yeah, one Glassdoor review versus them actually having a labor lawsuit come across the desk. I find two very different things. So you know, I don't see anybody yet at this point lawsuit on that. So that's just a that's a bad review. Somebody that they chose to put that.
Guys, if you really want us to dig around, we can find other reviews on other companies, and it doesn't even have to be in the eVTOL sector. But I bet I can find one on Tesla. I bet I can find one on more or less any place that, like, people have a mouth. People love to destroy things. That's human nature, isn't it? Guys, if you believe one screenshot, I haven't even verified if it's real. I believe it must be, but I haven't even verified it's not real. So yeah. Just days ago, Archer CEO Goldstein appeared on national TV and stated that starting this year, you'll be able to see that's bad grammar there. Some of these aircraft flying in around some of the biggest cities in America. Now, look, if you are a professional, you're a professional analyst, don't be putting bullshit on it. Yeah, that's for me to do. That's for the hustle brothers to do. Yeah, I can fly off the handle. I fly off the handle on live stream sometimes, but if you want to be a proper respected analyst, like genuinely, I do articles. Dylan does articles, but we're not paid to do these articles. We're not trying to inform masses amount of people. We're more or less saying our opinion. Yeah, don't put bullshit on it and then call out a CEO like that. But what is the point? So they're saying that you won't see them flying around big cities. So now they're calling, I'll use their own words, they're calling bullshit on the EIPP program. And for anyone that says, oh, well, they're not going to be on the EIPP, well, look, there's going to be 5 selected. Archer and Joby are going to get selected. So the other 3 that get selected are going to be further back. Now, look, we can say Alia will probably be there. Beta's Alia will probably be there with the cargo mission. So, look, I could be wrong with saying further back, but No one's saying that these have to be piloted flying around cities.
See, that's a very interesting point too. You know, I was kind of having that on the tip of my tongue too, and I don't even, I don't want to use it as a sense to
Like
excuse.
Adams openly said, these are not going to have passengers on board going around cities in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to excuse Archer or Adam from, if we, were expecting in piloted VTOLs, and they've always been described as market survey flights, and it's to gain the public adoption. And really, from what I frame in this, is to basically get used to me driving down the road and me looking up and me seeing this kind of airplane, which to me, I know what it is. I'll be able to tell my wife, hey, there's this for there's this, there it is right there. But not everybody's gonna know what this is. So you're gonna have a lot of people probably calling their local government or something. They're like, what is this flying over my regular highway that I have never seen before? That's a bit closer in proximity. But yeah, I don't think I would throw anything at the EIPP and being a backward step either for any of the eVTOL companies or for the progression of the air taxi network. Not only has the EIPP, I believe, advanced what the brick wall and the FAA certification has been for so many years, you will also see that the countries such as UAE, so I've seen some with GCAA, and there was one that was labeled as GACA, talking about basically the sandbox and the kind of the test flights in which Archer has been doing over in the UAE area as well, where again, these are market survey flights. These are introducing these aircraft to the public. We're not saying really. I mean, in my head, Adam speaks more to VIP piloted flights coming for the Super Bowl. I don't really hear much of him promising piloted, passenger flights at any aggressive sped up timeline. And I think that's what the beauty in the EIPP will continue to show out is one, not just the public adoption, but where these aircraft actually are in their build. Because again, we've talked a lot about the ramp of manufacturing and how important that is for these for these companies to really mass produce and get into mass market and address that TAM that they're looking for. Yet we're now opening a door where we're not having to go through maybe I'll say it more in the lengthy period of time of the FAA certification, and where you literally have had a timeline sped up to allow the aircraft that are safely, able to safely fly. Nobody's looking from any of these companies to do a market survey flight and have these things hit the ground. It's not with any of these companies. I know that every one of these companies is going to want to go to a safety first. And yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting as we start coming down the line and seeing as March 20th comes out, what kind of everything gets to be announced in the EIPP. And then I really look forward to the summer. Really is the time when we're getting maybe those flight trackers on the tail numbers of these aircraft, which again, we're seeing either fly maybe in the same point-to-point route that's already been chosen out by those cities. And again, seeing how these aircraft are doing, possibly in different city as well as different weather locations on particular days and times, and continuing to gain the flight data. So to me, between that, defense opportunities, we have, when I say we, those that are working at Archer and Joby and all these places, and as well as the administrations, have really sped up the timeline for the integration of an eVTOL into a real world use case and being able to see that.
Big shout out, Goat Gains. Who's shorting Culper? Do you know what? Guys, rise up against Culper. It's time for us to rise up against Culper.
That's
honestly,
fair.
yeah.
That's
Jump
fair.
past the X, reshare my post. I wanna bring Culper on. I asked them all the way back in, was it May, and they said they had no further comment at this time. Well, they seem to have further comment. They seem to have more evidence, more information. We're live. We're openly disputing the fact they're very confident to come out and put this out about Archer, but they're not confident enough to come on and back their research. They've done the research, yeah. We're just coming on and we're disputing their points because we cover it every day. So I think we have a right to dispute it.
That's a great point.
They're open to coming on and look, we'll have a back and forward. Be respectful. We're not gonna bite your head off, but I know we'll win. But it is what it is. Right, next one.
Let's do it.
So here we go. We have heard that in closed door meetings, Archer's CEO Goldstein has told certain institutional investors that Archer now expects FAA certification in 2028 at best, as Midnight requires substantial redesigns. If true, this would fly in the face of Reg FD selective disclosure rules. Now, Dylan, behind closed doors, I heard you're interviewing Elon Musk next week.
You heard? Yeah, you heard that? Yeah, behind the doors.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. It's not happening.
Does anyone believe it? No.
It's not happening.
They seem to have evidence for like above, like when it's a glass door, like one random bloke that's sitting at home, right in the thing. They seem to have evidence there. They seem to be able to highlight the conference call. So when you're making such a statement, why are you not putting hardcore evidence of this happening? Put it this way. If he has mentioned this to institutional investors, and he's lying to the retail, why, in the name of God, are we getting a record amount of institutional buying into Archer Aviation over this past month? Surely they'd be doing the opposite, because once it gets broken to retail, next thing the stock's going to collapse. So they'd be going against what they've just been told. So when I read that, I was like, behind the door. So a guy told me that my auntie's friend's uncle told her that. Like, what?
Dylan, I mean, there's a lot of smart people. I'll air quotes that, but there's a lot of smart people behind closed doors, you know. So if Adam has enough game to somehow pull the wool over BlackRock, Vanguard, who was it? State Street came in the other day. ARK Investment continues to, now they're back in at a plus 5% ownership.
There was a Norway bank went in. There was a Japanese bank that went in. Stellantis bought enough for 10 million shares.
Unfortunately, as the retail investor, we're not in the back doors. So we get the interviews as they come out. We as Hustle Brothers try to do the most honest DD as we can, and always try to call out if something's not going right. I mean, just like you said, Liam, when the last short report came out, I remember listening to it, and it was a fiery show, and there were some points that being made. What I'm also noticing in this short report is the things that were brought up in May last year. They don't seem to be
feature again.
Yeah, that's a perfect word. They're not. These aren't the things that are being featured now. It's like, okay, so
surely you'd be like, a year ago I said this. Yeah, a year ago I said that they wouldn't have a pilot on board, and you know what? They turned around and had a pilot on board. So I don't know. A year ago, Jimmy Fallon and the Olympics, but they seem to now have accepted that they're going to the Olympics because they're saying there about certification in 2028. So if certification happens in 2028, they're certainly going to be at the Olympics.
Well, and to that too, Liam, again, unless Adam is the most clever businessman, and I say that like in jest because I don't think it's true. I'm honest enough to listen to any interview with Adam, to read any quarterly call, and again, that's why I listen to him, and I literally, like, instead of going to like Grok and being like, give me a transcript of the earnings call, like I literally sit there and listen to it 3 and 5 times, pause.
And he wouldn't have only lied to all these institutes. None of you actually put up a good one. So Andrew partnership. So he's also lied to the Department of War, we're now
Exactly.
calling that.
Exactly.
So he's lying to
Look,
NASA.
and to that, Liam, I think again, what it kind of slipped my mind for a second, but my point was also thinking that us as the retail investors, we're not behind the closed doors. So I can't. I'm not trying to put words in Adam's mouth. This is Dylan just talking, but maybe he with them is able to be like, look, like VTOL's not quite, blah blah blah. I don't. That's probably inside trade, so I shouldn't even say that. But my point is I know what I know from the outside, and yeah.
I want to say, remember when I said when Cathie Wood started buying in, and when all these big things started happening, and I said, "Are you telling me there's not a nudge, something's happening here?" And everyone jumped into the comments and said they're not allowed to do that. They're a publicly traded company. You're not allowed to do things behind closed doors. But now they're all backing it. They're all saying, "Oh yeah, there was behind closed doors meeting," and now they're fully for this.
That's an interesting point. So Culper basically saying that the behind the closed doors is happening. So yeah, that's just it's messy, and I don't even think Culper worded that in an eloquent enough way to
Because
get their point across.
Behind closed doors, it's not allowed to happen. Yeah, it's not just Archer that would be in trouble there.
Exactly.
BlackRock could be in trouble. ARK could be in trouble. All these investment banks be in trouble. Stellantis be in trouble. Like,
I mean, trust me,
we want to be very careful they don't have lawsuit on their hand.
That's fair, and that's fair, and trust me, I think we will know the day when Archer has to throw their hands up in the air and say we are not going to be ready for these milestones. I'm not saying piloted milestones. If it's EIPP, this will unfold in front of our faces, and that's why for me, and I believe for Liam and a lot of people in the community, we take this very seriously, and we look at this every day. I'm gonna not cuss because I'm getting fired up. But it's we look at this every day. We look to see the updates of the company, and then we look to the quarterly earnings reports. And again, I'll be honest, just for any that feel that way, I can sway either way in thinking that yes, would love to have the piloted VTOL, but it's not here yet. And I, as that investor, I have to be okay with that, but also knowing that that's not the timeline at this point in time that I've been promised. Accumulation phase.
People get the wrong end of the stick as well. They think we're just so pro Archer and this, that, and the other. Yeah. At the end of the day, without being cocky, to me, Archer's not the be all and end all of my portfolio. Yeah. So if I genuinely thought something was happening here, number one, I would be out of it. And number two, my channel is built on Archer Aviation, Joby Aviation. Do you not think I'd be distancing myself from it if I believe there was something that wrong about it?
Well, and I think too. Yeah, no, you finish your thought.
It just frustrates me that Culper, who talk about Archer once a year, all of a sudden gets all this backing and validity, and half of them points doesn't actually have evidence behind them. You've literally said in the first one that TIA campaign with the FAA could happen as soon as the end of this year. Well, yes, they did say it could happen, and that's what your evidence is, that they said it. Yeah, they did say it, but we're a month into the next year. They're now ending the completion of piloted CTOL flight, which they have, and next is piloted VTOL. Well, you've given them, 2 months to do it, and we've said that I believe that NVIDIA IGX4 platform is being integrated into it. The next one, look, that fits the bill there. Same, they've finished out their CTOL campaign and they're going into their VTOL. We're seeing 704AX is the be-all and end-all here. So why would you continue with the CTOL for the, I don't want to, not in a bad way, but the substandard aircraft?
Well, and to that, Liam, too, what would it be like? It's always interesting because it's like the dichotomy between people want to hate that there was CTOL flight data, but then it's like, why aren't we flying CTOL? But it's like, but you were mad when we were flying CTOL. So, which way are we going here? Are we gaining flight data, or are we okay with the
we
build.
transition without IGX-4 on board, that's not the full weight of your aircraft. Like, how do you win? How do you
Why
win?
do it?
And another thing, I want to
It's a
get
tough
onto
one.
that point, go back to that point about the mass scale out, yeah? Okay, so loads of you are mad bullish on Joby Aviation, yeah? I believe, this is hand on heart, I believe that Joby Aviation does have the capability within the next, I'd say, 6 months to roll out 4 aircraft per month, yeah? But why did they push it back to 2027? Because they know they're going to be certified then. So Joby could be rolling out too, but then not. But we don't get a short report on Joby. And I don't want a short report on Joby. I'm investing in Joby, so I don't want a short report on Joby.
Exactly.
But I'm just saying, like, you're beating down one and then the other one, it's okay. But they're more or less doing the same thing.
Yeah, I think if Culper wanted to make one point, they say Archer hasn't vetoed yet. And I don't even know if that's a short report. I think that's as deep as an X criticism. And I think that's something, like you say, Liam, that, we go back and forth and we try to figure out that can of worms on what is going on with that. So this, for me, again, Archer Aviation, the goal, a part of the goal is 704AX, but that's not the end game. There's a lot of tail numbers that I'm looking to start research and find in flight tracking as this company continues to mature. And I believe that will happen. That is, in my humble opinion, that, and again, we're, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've had other eVTOL companies where first you're having one piloted aircraft, and then you're having an additional piloted aircraft that's, able to track the miles as well. So if 704AX is the one to prove out the VTOL technology, why not be careful with that build? Make sure you as the company is comfortable with what you're putting in the air. And again, knowing that is what you're going to be rolling, again, like you say, to your final production, to your production aircraft, and eventually rolling to type certification. It's not like nobody's showing up to work. It's not like the doors are shut, and it's not like nobody's been there since if the CTOL campaign wrapped up and nobody's got a paycheck for 4 months, and Tom's on the beach and we can't locate Tom. It's like, okay, a little bit more worried, but that's not what I see happening in my humble opinion. I don't see that. I don't see that.
Before we get on to the 3 questions Culper have for Adam Goldstein, there's 425 feet up. I want to know, guys, that whether you agree with what we're saying or you disagree with what we're saying, would you like myself and Dylan to interview Culper? Yeah, I will actively do a hard reach out to Culper, and I will be a lot more persuasive this time to Culper. But I want 100 likes, and I will actively reach out. If not, it actually doesn't bother me whether I speak to them or not, because I think it's a lot of bollocks.
Here today, gone tomorrow.
Oh, Dylan, yeah, you can run a poll, no problem.
All right. Let me see if I can set it.
You don't have to ask for things like that, my guy. This is your channel too.
You the man. Yeah, I could go on. I could say
Can
so many kind of things
run a
about
poll
it.
there, my guy. Sorry, me and Dylan are just having a conversation back and forward.
I don't know through the StreamYard. I don't know if
you might have to do it for YouTube.
That's the only thing I couldn't figure out. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll work on that and then be able to get the poll up for people. If not today, maybe we can hit it during.
But you know what to do? Send it to me over private chat, and I'll be able to put it up.
Okay, can do. I'll get that going.
100%.
Yeah.
Then, guys, I have a lot of comments here. Guys, let me know. Do you want me to cover the comments? Do you want me to cover Culper's next few questions? Jump in. Let me know. These reports do frustrate me. I can't even lie. So, no one's responded. I'm just gonna jump. Say hello to Zed Stark up. Andrew
UFC.
Blankenship is most bullish thing in Archer. I'm way down the bottom. Guys, there is loads of Joby, 29% of my portfolio. Warren Buffett wouldn't approve. Warren Buffett wouldn't approve my portfolio either.
That's
but
fair.
at the same
That's
time,
fair.
I think Warren Buffett, amazing investor.
Uh-huh.
But for what I am doing, I am not following his strategy. And look, people can call me an absolute idiot. But look, we wouldn't be talking Archer, Joby, etc. You wouldn't even have them in your portfolio if you were doing Warren Buffett approach. I want to build my wealth and I protect my wealth. It's a hard psychology, that, yeah? Because you need to be not high risk, but you need to be willing to take on risk when you're building money. But then when you want to protect money, it's a complete risk adverse, and it's like two different people.
Also, brothers will be having dividend stock streams in 15 years or something like that. But yeah, no, it's completely different types of styles of the investing. Miss out on big runs, but again, like whether it be Kathy or any up and coming investor, I think back to back in the day when Buffett started investing in the particular companies he was choosing to go in. I feel like there would be some people that would be like, really, like soda's going to take off or this, and he had his thesis and he had his belief, and look what these certain companies have turned into today, and there's been some that he's missed on as well. So one of the best. But yeah, but we're going high beta and looking for takeoff. Looking for takeoff.
Mark says, y'all open for questions. Yeah, my guy, just throw them in.
Always.
Santa Claus brought liquid hydrogen. Joby fighters around us. Do you see sustainable aviation fuel getting in the way of Beta's growth potential? I would actually have to do a proper review on Beta, I need to do one of those deep dives.
And the one thing I'll say back on the sustainable fuel, and I'll be honest, it was out of an article. Apologize, an article regarding JetX, and they were talking about. I think they've been the primary general EPO host or such for the Dubai Air Show since 2016, if I have that correct. And they were saying that this past air show, the sustainable fuel actually. They were tapped out. They were basically, it was how do I say this? All of it that they had procured, it was sold to their clients, and even at that point, it was like, we want more. So again, it was also met with a comment where you have a lot of the larger airliners as well, where we're having these. I think you call it net zero. You kind of basically trying to go green, so going green emissions, net zeros, and having the sustainable fuel being a way to help these companies reach their kind of green levels that they need to get to in their companies as well. So I don't know if it will be the immediate disruptor in the eVTOL industry, just again, because we've kind of, I feel like kind of really been cementing in lately, both being electrical vertical takeoffs or possibly the, hybrid powertrains based on range and mission and use case. But be it battery technology versus fuel technology, I think both will play more of a role as 1, 3, and 5 years come. And I think once we get to 5, 10, 15 years, whether it be the bigger airliners or advancements in battery technology for the eVTOLs, I think both could be what you could call disruptors to what we have today. And even disruptors in the sense of having better technology and better range and longer flights from certain aircraft now, or certain ones that are in like a pre-production state or regional travel aircraft that could come out as well.
Guys, I will get on to the 3 questions that Culper had for Adam Goldstein. It's 324 you watching. I've just put up Dylan's poll there on YouTube. It says, after Culper's short report on Archer, are you long on Archer or short on Archer? And that's after we have put our case across. I want to see what the majority of you are saying there, but we will get back in and then we'll get back to the poll. Yeah. So, the three questions are: Culper says that Archer has claimed for at least the past 9 months that the company has multiple aircraft in final assembly. The company has produced 0 aircraft. Where are they? Okay, I think we've answered that one twice, if I can remember. There's no point mass producing, so I'm going to leave that there. Has the company settled on final midnight design? If so, then why is flight testing ground to a halt in the past 3 months? Well, I think we've kind of addressed why the past 3 months.
Yeah, CTOL envelope is closed, ready to open the VTOL.
Does Archer remain committed to fly in midnight in the US in 2026? Yeah, because Adam did say it. As you claimed days ago, they've literally said it. Or does the company plan to update the public markets as to continue the days and your updated 2028 timeline? No, that's Culper's updated 2028 guideline. That's not
True.
Adam's. I did jump in and say Archer last time did come back stronger after the last short report.
That's true.
And will come back stronger again this time.
Yeah, no lie on that.
Out of hating on a company rather than doing research and trying to grow a portfolio. Some business they are. And then I did say fact 7. Here's Your Honor.
Man, I love it, man. It's one of those things. Like you said, it almost seems like when the dust is settling in the eVTOL industry, there's always something that's going to be uncovered, or there's something to uncover, and that's fine. Let's have Culper shine the light on the eVTOL industry. We are not to be forgot about. We see the progression that Joby has been making. We know the agreements with Archer and Boeing and Wisk moving forward in the 2030s. And again, I think maybe as a earnings call listener, these are actually becoming the most transparent earnings calls, where it's not really I don't even want to say and it's not indecisiveness, but it was a shift in business, and it took place. So Archer Aviation is not what it was Q4 23, Q4 24. It's a completely different business. It's a completely different business model. And they had the sub 4,000 pound aircraft with Maker, which, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but they went through power on testing with that aircraft. So some of these things are not foreign to Team Archer. So if you've had the opportunity, and that's having Maker come off the line and using their prototype within about 2 years of NYSE acceptance, so maybe about a 3 to 4 year timeline on the specific Archer Aviation Incorporated company. But to me, I more look at what have they done and not what they have not done. And we can look at the kind of recipe of the catalysts that have to come together, be it FAA or international, and the VTOL. And again, it's something, I invest myself very deeply into Archer. One, it's a passion of mine. There's a lot of deep reasons in which I grew the passion behind Archer Aviation. And it's not a company that I've thrown money at because I'm sentimental to the company, or I'm like, my eyes have blinders and I can only buy Archer Aviation stock, and I cannot look elsewhere. That's not the case. But what for myself I've discovered in about the last 6 earnings call is a very strategic shift in the business and opening up the doors to early revenue. And again, with the amounts of partnerships, the amount of lean in from US administration, what's going on in the UAE, I just can't necessarily wrap my head around Archer not being able to produce a aircraft that they have basically told their customers would be coming. So they 6 months ago or so, we had to switch from the 2 to the 4. That maybe the timeline would be completely different if that change didn't have to happen. And it's already happened. So I think now, again, I look at the flight radar, and I know it's not going to happen tomorrow. Q4 will close up in a little over 2 weeks now, and we have Q1, a beautiful 3 months to sit back and not only look at the partnerships in which Archer may retain throughout that time or be able to procure during that time, but also just the general excitement between the build between them and Andrew, and really to see the role that Archer does play in the EIPP. That the story still is to unfold, but still in the camp that Archer would not be putting themselves in the line of fire for this if they weren't going to have an aircraft that the administration and or their international companies weren't going to be happy with.
Guys, I see so many comments firing in there. I've had to filter them out a little bit. So if we don't answer your question, don't worry about it. Just fire it back in. We're not ignoring you. I will try and answer every one of them there. Just don't spam, because you will get timed out. That's not us doing it. If you spam on YouTube, you will get timed out. But don't be afraid to fire your question back in if we do miss over it. It feels like we're constantly battling shorts, yeah. And at the end of the day, someone's going to be right and someone's going to be wrong. I hope we're right. They hope they're right.
Sure.
At the end of the day, look, Culper, we know what Culper are doing. They're going short in the stock. At least they're open and honest about it. Yeah. I just don't understand many people that have no skin in the game in Archer, and they continue to either try and drag people down or drag Archer down. I don't know, does it make them feel better? Maybe because they lost money in it and they're afraid that other people may make money without them, and they want, do you know, it's like that seeking approval from yourself, like you're sort of like, this is why I sold out. And
yeah, was I right? Right.
And they like confirmation bias.
Sure.
They just really want it to be right. Like, at the end of the day, there's so many stocks that I do not agree with. I can name them here, yeah. Just Tilray, I don't think is going to work. Some people disagree with me. I just don't think. Virgin Galactic, you know about Virgin Galactic, but I don't, like I've said, I don't like them. I wouldn't invest in them again, but I don't go banging on about them and I don't go posting about them on X, because really, I don't care. Fair play to them. If they're going to do well without us, fair play. I can have a bet. I'm going to go back to the comments here, yeah? And we're just going to get the same questions over and over. I'm not even going to call out some of them. I'm reading some of them as they're coming up, and I can already tell. I've answered, look, I don't mind if you're new to this channel and you've never seen us answer that question before, or if you genuinely haven't seen us answer that question before. But some of you, I know I've answered that question to you specifically 4 or 5 times live, and the answer hasn't changed.
True.
And that can apply to many of them here. I'm going to go to a positive question so no one thinks I am calling them out, if I can find one.
Well, you know, and
do you seek an interview with Adam Goldstein? Look, we'd love to interview all CEOs.
That's actually true. Yeah.
Adam and Joe Ben, you know, from the start have been heroes of ours, and we'd love to interview them.
Kyle Clark, bring him on, you know? Yeah. I mean, I think that, and it's not just, you know, just to say in seeking the interview, I don't want to say that that's in any selfish way for like me and Liam to have that interview to dot on. I think by seeking an interview with any of the CEOs of this company, it's to bring in more information to the community that is so diehard about these eVTOLs and about the, not just the progression, but, you know, I kind of have 2 different thoughts going through my head, but, you know, I think that's, you know, as a platform, we can always try to do our best in getting the top anybody, basically the top industry professionals, to come on and start talking to retail. So, yes, we will reach out and we want to reach out. And it's not just for me to gain knowledge. It's like, I want this community to continue to know the ins and the outs, and not just always have to turn on CNBC and catch the random interview that might get on, or have a CEO that is never speaking, like, we're here. Like, there was an awesome, this gentleman, Tanner, he's been covering SoFi for 4 years. He finally got an interview with Nodo. Like, big ups to him, big credit to him. And big credit to Nodo to leaning into, maybe where his adversary was a little bit more leaned into retail, and kind of had that support in the backing. So very cool to Nodo to allow Tanner to reach out and to have that interview. I think that's very cool. So yeah, like you said, Liam, Joe Ben, Adam, Kyle Clark. We've interviewed Brandon before. And just to gain the most up-to-date information and to ask the best questions in the way that we would know how to ask them to these CEOs.
I'd love to go across the vertical. They're only an hour away from it. Could make it happen.
Might happen.
Right. Let's go right back to the question start. L3Rs is no slouch.
Yeah.
You don't know about Joby's partnership? Oh, I think you're talking to Innova viewer, that my guy.
Well, and with that too, it was important that they got the L3 Harris partnership, because again, I want to say within inside of some of the executive orders, it was needing a defense partnership as well to continue to kind of accelerate yourself through the administration's kind of wishes and such like that. So you kind of had Archer Defense get created, and then yes, you had L3 Harris. So again, it's like you have the legacy where you have Toyota and L3 Harris with Joby, so that's kind of what made people have in a proven thought or proven ground, and what those companies have been able to prove out so far. And then you kind of have the newcomers on the blocks with the Archer Palantirs, the Andurils, and such like that, to form both whatever products that they're looking to move forward for the defense contracts as well.
Andrew, I can't believe what you've done. I can see it there on YouTube. It hasn't come up in my chat up here, but I will smash it up on the screen there. Thank you, brother. You really shouldn't have. I really appreciate that, my guy. And yeah, I'll talk more about it when it comes up on my screen here. I don't know how to slow down the comments. This is probably a bad thing to say, but
oh, it's cool. I'm glad that the chat's engaging. No, I'm glad, because it's like this open forum and this open thought. I mean, I think that's what to be needed, especially on days like this.
Ray says, mind you, I do own shares of Joby for the reason of foreseeable recognition of their success too. Santa Claus, but I thought I answered some of these questions. Y'all open questions. Yeah, we are, my guy. So, as I asked before, when Archer doesn't transition, look, this is one. This is one straight away out the bat.
Yeah.
So, when Archer doesn't transition by the end of Q1, do you start to question all that's been said? I've said it. I've said, if we don't hear about it at the end of Q1, yes, I start questioning it. If we hear at the end of Q1 that they're pushing to Q2, I want to see it at the start of Q2, or yes, I have big questions asked. But I have never changed on that stance. I've openly said that the whole way through.
I agree.
Dylan, what's your thoughts on that question?
I completely agree. For me, I go back to, again, we had to change in the aft rotors. I'm not, and really in the mass scale and the mass production, it's not just these aircraft being able to VTOL necessarily. There's the type certification, just because something VTOLs doesn't mean it's going to get through type certification. I'm not talking about Joby in this sense, but I mean, there's definitely experimental VTOLs out there that are never going to go through a type certification. And I'm not talking about these companies. And so if they don't see, and for me, it's, if I'm if I'm studying Archer and being honest to myself, I have to go with the guidance that's given. So if they come out of Q1 and if they start a Q2 earnings call, and if in the prepared remarks there's not specific detail on what happened with the VTOL piloted test campaign, which again is going to spiral into what's going on with the EIPP, which is going to spiral into Q3 rollout in UAE. I mean, there's a whole box of questions that's going to start opening. So will I have questions? Absolutely. But do I hope that those questions would be answered on the earnings call? Yes, absolutely. So I think it's kind of a little bit of both. And again, expectations aren't always the best things to have. So I want to think of a different word to put, to when I expect the Q1 VTOL. I anticipate, I guess maybe I'll say I'm anticipating the VTOL in Q1. And yeah, if the timeline was pushed back, I would highly want to know the reason why, and for it to be very blunt and blatant on why we're not getting that, and for me to be able to see if that has changed my investment thesis or not. But yeah, as you can, I would be definitely fired up if it was a no reason, no VTOL, no reason, and we're just pushing through quarterly earnings calls and we're not speaking about it. So yeah, but we're not there yet. So I'm under the assumption that they're going to VTOL Q1, and if they do, then guidance was hit, and if they don't, we'll go from there.
Andrew, big shout out, my friend. $20 super chat. Wanted to send you a birthday gift, Liam. Thanks for all the hard work, guys. Thank you so much for that. Do you know what I'm going to spend that on?
Happy belated.
I want to get myself and Dylan 2 Rogan mics. I want to get Joe Rogan mics. Yeah, I think that'd be quite cool. So yeah, that $20 will go to get in Joe Rogan mics for both myself and Dylan. So thank you so much for that. Andrew, because you sent a super chat there, my guy, I want to do something for you because you really didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Jump in. Let me know what video you want us to do. You can get a video request for that.
Absolutely.
So do jump in there. Charlie says, I was an early investor. Sorry, Charlie, I will get back to you there, but literally, this just keeps resetting every 2 seconds. Where am I?
It just feels like there's so much momentum. All right, keep going.
Do you truly believe in what Adam Goldstein and Archer are putting out? Yeah, I do. Dylan, do you?
Simply put, at this point, fully. There's so many hands in the pot. I mean, the LASEC, the LA Olympics. There's just if Archer fails, I simply put, do I truly believe? Yes, I do.
Ray, don't forget those flowers. Ray, let me know what flowers is that now, because I want to know, did Anthony make money on that? I haven't looked. So do let me know. Hey guys, just getting there. Have they already talked about the financial crisis? Max, we have literally spoke about the whole Culper report. If there's something in specific from the whole report you want us to go back on, jump in. No flight in 3 months is insane. Joby has 61 flights in January alone. Archer's not Joby.
Thank you, Liam. You nailed it. You nailed it. But that's it. Yeah.
Tesla and Toyota do 2 different things.
First. Yeah.
Boeing and Airbus do 2 different things. Pepsi and Coke do 2 different things.
Absolutely.
Do I have to go on?
No, and I think that's the thing. It's are we gonna sit here and compare company to company and have that just be the basis on what?
Like, is that the shorter part? Are we just gonna go Archer versus Joby? Like, we have no dispute in Archer versus Joby who's ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
So
absolutely.
I don't know why we always have to bring it back to Joby and Joby are doing this, because Archer are behind Joby. We know Archer are behind Joby.
And I would expect that that's what Joby's doing, and that's what I would expect Archer to be doing, if not by the end of 26, by the end of 27, where again you're having one, if not a second aircraft. I mean, again, 26 and 27, again, EIPP, Q3 delivery to UAE. I mean, there's so many other things that either are going to just fall through, or they will be happening, which means more tails registered, more flights in the air, more flight miles. Like I said, Archer is kind of this like middle child in this thing, kind of in the thing. I feel like sometimes where again, Joby has had a very long runway, and they've been able to vertically integrate and allow themselves to get to not one, but multiple flying aircraft in a single day. Going to multiple countries for air shows, doing VTOLs, and that's what they're supposed to do. Just exactly as I'm expecting Archer to do. They need to prove out the technology. I'm not here to say that is something Archer can't do, meaning like, oh, if they don't prove out the technology, they're still going to do this, that, or the other. They still need to prove out the technology. But with any company that's proven out the technology, gain the flight data, keep flying, and keep your presence known. And again, we kind of talk about these coming forth and what one does better and what one does worse, or flip-flopping into the other. And anybody can pick their timeline of when they would choose to maybe hit a green light on PR for their company. But I mean, it was Joby wrapping the I was going to try to name the car name, but wrapping the Ubers and then also having the integrated experience. Would that not be bashed if it was Archer doing that? Would that not be too much PR? But again, Joby's further ahead in the race. But again, there's 1 to 2 brick walls that we're still looking to push through that Joby has not been able to do yet, which is get a type conforming aircraft through FAA certification. So I think when you have the 2 and 3 players that are nearing completion on those aircraft and able to have the DARs and the DERs on the floor, when you're having beta get the buy-in, I can bring my spreadsheet up, but the mine is just the Amazon. There's 2 other. General Electric was one that took a big stake in beta. So again, for us in the U.S., I'm not sure for you, Liam, but for us in the U.S., I mean, General Electric is like been around forever, and can make just about anything, like kind of company, So very curious as those are the ones that are backing these eVTOL companies and people that are much more financially smart than I am. Throwing a lot more money than I have to throw at any current period of time, and taking ownership stakes in all of these companies. But again, we have some companies that are having ownership bought in, and we're also having some CEOs that are selling stock of their own company, like 4 and 5 times in the last 3 to 6 months. So my point is, and if you go back, I'm not a Joby hater. I've always said I want and need Arch. I'm sorry, I want and need. I don't like the word need, but I want I want Joby to succeed because they've had the head start in this race. They're the ones, almost to me, setting the bar for what I was going to say FAA certification can and will be like. So if Joby's the one really breaking through the walls, go for it. Let's get that type conforming aircraft. Let me see that FAA approval in a positive way. I can't wait to see that because that means the eVTOL industry is alive. Now, I could go on and on, but I'll leave it on that one.
I'm just keeping an eye on the chat. Some of the things are making me laugh. Dave says, what will you as investors do feel if it comes out that Midnight yet again requires a redesign to get cleared for flight tests? There's a difference between needing a redesign and having lied that they don't need a redesign. So look, if they do that, this is why we do tests on everything. Look, I'm a big investor in Rocket Lab, and I could say, what if Neutron needs a redesign? Well, we don't know until the test flight. So again, with this, we don't know until the vertical takeoff and landing transition. Look, if they say that they're going doing the transition and then turn around and say, look, we need to redesign because we can't do the transition, then I will sort of be a bit frustrated because I'll be like, well, how did you not know that back in November? However, if they say they attempted it and it doesn't work, well, then that's different. That's, you failed the test. But of course you need a redesign, but at least you've learned from failing. Dylan?
So if it comes out that Midnight yet again requires a redesign, What will I do and feel? Well, I think the market will start deciding a little bit on what I do. That's always going to be an interesting play. If they need a redesign and it's accumulation and no market drawdown, we attack and see if the thesis is still intact and how much of a runway they have. Because again, for me, there's certain milestones that are being set up and they need to be achieved. And I don't like the word achieved, but or I'm sorry, I don't like the word need, but they're looking to be achieved. So again, whether it's VIP flights to the Super Bowl, really rolling out this Innovate 28, the ramp up in mass production. I wouldn't feel great. I mean, if you want my honest opinion, I might be an Archer bull, but I don't know. I'm able to say that I wouldn't love if on the Q4 earnings call it came out and said we've tested 704AX and it just doesn't work. We got to go back to the drawing board and do that. Wouldn't love it. But yeah, I think that might cause bigger company issue there. But again, is in redesign for so yeah, I don't. I'm just. I'll be very curious if there is, like we're saying, such a major redesign that would basically take Midnight back to the drawing board and almost be like where you're scrapping Maker for Midnight and you're coming out with a whole new vertical takeoff aircraft at that point. So yeah, if they had to redesign yet again, I'm not gonna love that. No, I'm not gonna love that. And I have to go address my thesis with inside the company at that point.
And look, we won't hide behind nothing. We're here every day.
Yeah.
So like, if bad news comes out, we'll be here to address it. Culper was there. I haven't looked, but how many people don't have reviewed Culper already and addressed it straight away? So I think it shows, whether you agree with us or disagree with us, I think we're showing transparency and honesty that we're willing just to come on and answer questions. Because I can guarantee you, if a short came out about half your companies, there'd be very few people that would come on and look. Between, I think we've had over 1,000 people through both X and YouTube now, and like we're just opening it up for people. Serious question: what would it take each of you individually to truly question the promises? Mac, I'm saying this as a friend, as an investor. Why would you invert commas the promises if you are truly long on Archer? I'm just saying that, yeah.
Sure.
But then I'm just going to go back to, look, if they come out and they don't have a reason why they haven't transitioned in Q1 and they have pushed it back to Q2, and then I see a problem there and it doesn't happen, and then it waits to the following earnings call, then I will start having a few questions. But like, at the end of the day, why does it matter when I question it? Like, and this is not applying to you, Mac, at all, because I know you don't take us for advice, but I wouldn't want anyone taking myself or Dylan as financial advice, and the reason to be wholly in Archer is because myself and Dylan are bullish on Archer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether I'm in or out tomorrow. It doesn't matter whether we're Archer till the end.
Mm-hmm.
People should do their own due diligence. We're only here to share our opinion. I promise you, I'll be passionate about whatever stance I take. If I do take a bearish stance, you've seen me, guys, when I take a bearish stance on Archer.
Mm-hmm.
We went through months where everyone was questioning why don't I cover Archer as much now, and why I was, I don't know, giving them like a cold shoulder kind of thing. But look, as an investor, that's what I'm going to do. Like, whatever I'm heavier in on, you can't tell me that's not what will catch your interest. So you'll always be able to tell my portfolio. Mm-hmm. When I'm heavier in one, I will cover them more. And that's just natural bias that I get pulled towards learning more information about one. Dylan, have you, what would change you?
I think my easy way to answer that for you, Mac, is I already have questions. It's not that I'm questioning the company, but as the informed investor, I'm still keeping a eye open to what this company has done, has not done, yet has also been able to do throughout the last year when it was never possible. This company would not do this and not do that. So to individually begin to question the promises, my question is out there of again, I'm assuming we'll get veto come Q1. So that's the promise that my question is currently out there on. I do not have the answer to that. Tom, Adam, those in the engineering rooms may have that answer. But as a diligent investor to the company and to the eVTOL industries, or to other eVTOL companies as well, um, I I question what's going on, because again, this is an industry that is not real yet. There's a lot of things, not just a VTOL, that has to happen for this to be a TAM that grows to what general 2030 2035 projections are. So yeah, I question the eVTOL industry almost every day, but I try to look at it in a way of, are these companies again progressing when the macro hits bad? Is there something that the company's done bad, or is this just the macro drawing them down? And really just getting excited towards the next company catalysts, whether that be Joby really integrating into like Uber. I mean, you even had the chief marketing officer from Uber mentioned that, because we had that question on eVTOL Live last week, Liam, of like, would you use the Uber app or would you be using the Elevate app? So he basically simply wrote back that you would probably be able to use both. So there's always questions, and the questions around Archer for me are, when are we going to get to see the piloted VTOL? But then there's more questions after that. When am I going to get to see a passenger VTOL? But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm negatively asking that question to myself or to the company, but just keeping that open perspective of what I have not seen with my own eyes, and yet still needing to see, to be that worthwhile investment, to stay in for the longevity of it, in so many words.
Then Jonathan says, click the like button. Guys, do smash
Thanks,
that
John.
like button. Also, look, we do these live streams, and I don't know why sometimes, because we don't get half the amount of views and we don't get half the amount of subscribers. So if you want us to keep doing these live streams, make that wheel spin, please. Get us up to the 4,500. If not, really. I was actually speaking to Dylan. We do have a few things that we could plan potential rollout. May drop at 5,000 subscribers, and yeah, it'd be exciting.
There's exciting things to come. I think again, me and Liam want to have the fastest information for you guys. We want to be the emerging channel that is here for you guys. And again, with Liam, I always say the selfless effort he puts into not just doing the DD and grabbing that knowledge, but to sit down and put that into a short form video that may take the guy 2-4 hours. He's definitely way more efficient with it now because he's great. But I just love that selflessness in him, that he's willing to share that information. And even for me on the day, if there's a company that I'm looking to find something on, and pop on one of the videos, I mean, it's really a great opportunity to hear it in a condensed way. And then also, like you said, Matt, can get me to question. And then what am I hearing somebody else say? And now I can go question that, and I can do some DD. Same thing that brought me to the JetX article. I was just like, I was questioning JetX. I'm like, what's going on with JetX? What have they been doing lately? And in golfbusiness.com, there's a multi-page article, and he's talking about sorry, this is gonna be a tough one. Substantial fuel. I got it. Substantial fuel that the gentleman or lady was mentioned in the comments earlier. And then also to where basically the private jet is awesome. So there's been a few things he spoke. He said the private jets are awesome, but after COVID, our demographic changed. It used to be basically 50 to 80-year-olds that would be taking the private jets pre 2019. And now you're looking at more of a demographic of a 25 to 55-year-old who's taking that private jet. But they want that connectivity, and they want the seamless. I'll just say that they want seamless. That's what his customers are saying. So when they touch down on that PJ, I've never ridden on a private jet. So if anybody has, I'm happy to take a ride and see what that experience is like. But the ground transportation, again, reading through the article and mirroring up to what both of these companies are trying to solve is that last mile. Exactly what the JetX founder had put in the article. It's solving that last mile because, again, that's awesome that you can fly in that private jet and get to your location a little bit quicker, deplane, get through that. But if still you're sitting in that same traffic that I am trying to get to that location or that event, and we're leaving the same airport, like you might have got there a little bit more luxurious than I did, but we're kind of leaving out in Ubers, headed in the same direction to go there. So it's, questions all around. The vertiport builds outs all around. Yeah. So lots to look into.
Would you be upset if Archer if they didn't get certified until 2032? Yes.
Sure. You got me. Yeah. You got me next. Wait. Can I do a stipulation? If they don't get, and this is not me being bold, this is just me being funny though. Serious but funny, serious fun. But what if they got crazy programs of record? So what if they didn't get certified, but they were only getting programs of record and they were a straight defense company by 2032? But no, to the seriousness of the question, would I be upset if they didn't get certified by 2032? That's not what I initially bought into. Initially I bought into an air taxi network company that was going to be making an electrical vertical and takeoff machine for air taxi and commercial use for somebody like myself in the future. So yeah.
I'm going to call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
There's no talking way out of that. Like 2032, I'm out. Like, I'm clearly out.
Yeah, Whisk is gonna be doing stuff. Yeah, you got it, Max.
Yeah. By then, bro.
Yeah, you got it. Nah, long Joey.
If we hear that Adam Goldstein is suing Culper tomorrow, we know 100% that they're all lies. If we get silence from Adam Goldstein, what do you think the damage will do to the share price? I don't know. I don't know how much impact this Culper report will have on the share price at the moment, because we have been suppressed, but the big institutions are still buying. Like, it doesn't make sense that the big institutions have been told that it's been delayed till 2028, but they're all loading in. So yes, you may get retail start selling off, but look, we've been here before with Culper, and I don't know why more people aren't calling it out. Why have they not reiterated even one of their points from the last short report?
Yeah, the whole
Bill made a very good point during the
fire department, all that stuff.
IV doubled, thinks it'll drop below $5. Goggins says, I don't think Adam cares about Culper. They're not a big deal. No, I think you're speaking facts then, okay.
Yeah, and I wouldn't personally be worried one way or the other. I think Adam has shown as of lately that he's willing to fire back at companies or certain lawsuits or just general media that he may not be finding to the taste of what his company represents. But is Culper worth really stirring up an X comment over and going back? If I'm Adam, I'd be like, just watch and see. I'll prove you a different way, So yeah, I'm open-minded either way.
On Reddit, we decided the most important questions for the call. There's no chance they'll answer one, both Archer and Joby. Do you know what I actually find funny? I've always said this, and I said it to Reese early on. Do you know when we were getting all that hate from Reddit? And to be fair, I'll give a big shout out. The Archer guys on the Reddit share us now and again, and we do get big support from the Archer side. Joby guys still hate us. But what makes me laugh is if we ever interviewed Adam or Joe Ben, they'd all be our best mates then. They'd all be, I've supported you since the start. Because I recognize so many people in the chats that give us abuse at the start, yeah. And I've never called them out on it, clear, yeah. But I recognize so many of you guys. So I know who to ask and who not to ask if we ever got that opportunity. And I'm telling you, the way the channel's going, it's always going to be our goal to get the biggest names involved, whether it's in eVTOL, whether it's in Rocket Lab, whether it's whatever we
Yeah.
choose to do. We'll always look to get the biggest names involved. So we won't sleep on that. So you're giving Archer. Oh, come on, my guy. Has this turned into like what's Liam's validation of Archer Aviation? What's Dylan's validation of Archer Aviation? Like, are we counting down the days? And on day 49, we're gonna say, Liam.
I throw my hands up, Liam. I'll get the calendar behind me up
How many
next
times
to
have I said like I'm wrong? Like,
yeah, true that.
when I said about the reversal, I said like, look, I openly hold my hands up. I'm wrong, but I say what I believe at the time, and yeah, at this moment in time, yeah, if we want to call it 49 days, we can call it 49 days. Ray says, it's just that I've got most of my skin in Horizon Aircraft because I thoroughly understand and comprehend where the physics and engineer such an aircraft committed to safety. And that's the thing, like, some people fundamentally understand Horizon Aircraft, some people fundamentally understand Tesla. Like, there's that's the most important thing about being an investor. If you can hand on heart, look yourself in the mirror and say, this is why I'm investing. Like, if I turned around to Ray now, yeah, I could say anything to Ray and Ray will dispute it, but Ray probably has more knowledge on Horizon Aircraft than me. I'm not saying we have more knowledge on Archer Aviation, but when you are so highly convicted, and we research it all the time.
Yeah.
I do not take an offense, but that's why I do get so passionate, because I'm like,
let me ask you this, Liam. There's the companies and there's the industry, right? So for any of us as eVTOL investors to succeed, unless there's the smaller company out of the woodworks, and I promise you, down not 20, 30 minutes from me, I'm sorry, there's two aerospace companies that work in this kind of stuff. But they don't have the capex that these companies have. I'm sorry, they don't have the market cap that these companies have. They don't have the cash on hand that these companies have. They're probably not even publicly listed. You know, they're probably doing great things. Like this is a bad example, but just saying like Aerosonic, how they can specialize in air data probe, you know, and then get that out. You know, it's something for me where if we're long in the eVTOL industry and we're seeing cracks in Archer, just if I was seeing cracks in Joby, I would want to go both ways and understand why these companies aren't working and respectively what, you know, whatever that field may be. And again, this was an investment to me that started with the three CEOs, Whisk, Archer, and Joby being on stage. I can't, you know, hindsight 50-50. I can't say how I would have felt had I gone back to 2024 and seen that an on podcast was only having one of the CEOs or only one was doing the lean in. It really looked like that these guys were in to solve a transformative issue to get 3D travel actually, no, like pun intended, up and flying. And you know, they may not be collaboratively working together and they might be enemies at this point, you know, but there's going to be a day where they're going to have to share the airspace. And you know, I don't look for any of these companies to fail in any way and for their guidance to be pushed back and for this or that milestone not to be hit. But I'm also, again, not blind to this being, this is not an industry and there could be a change. Like the EIPP has advanced, quote unquote, this, so, you know, to a timeline that we may not even be at had that not been introduced. Only saying to the credit of what the EIPP can do for market survey flights and to grow that public adoption and to grow that presence, and also to allow these companies to say, okay, I got $1 billion on cash, I got $2 billion on cash, I can spend that in further developing a manufacturing plant, or I can further tool out my manufacturing plant. Like there's a lot of pieces of this puzzle that are coming together. There's still some that need to come together. But yeah, this will be shared airspace. So we'll see.
Mark, I've just seen your comment there, so I will go back, guys. See my comment on why I asked the questions. I'm not trying to trap or trick anyone. I love these streams and the discussion. I think you all take my questions the wrong way. Mark, look, honestly, I love your interaction. This is what I say too. Like, there's no point us all blowing each other's smoke, and there just being too many Liam and Dylan's in the chat. Yeah. The only reason, like, I get so passionate, and like, I'd say you could be the same if I started saying something about Joby or Archer or whatever you're most highly invested in. You'll get passionate back with me. That's not me being like, I'm genuinely not being rude to you, my guy. I love you're part of this community, my guy. You've been live with us. So honestly, don't we're genuinely, you're one guy. I know you're not trying to make us take it the wrong way. However, like, when I seen your question first, I'm gonna call it out straight away, because I just don't want people that have never been here before, not you, but people that have never been here before, seeing a question like that and then just blowing us. But Mac, we'll get back to it, but no.
And thinking about the 49 days too, you know, it actually brings a little bit of excitement to me, but I'm not going to be overzealous in saying that's something that, again, that the goalpost couldn't get changed, but it can bring excitement, and then it can bring nervousness. It's two natural bodily, like two mental emotions that can happen, especially when you put, you see a date on a time. It's like, are you going to procrastinate until the very end? You know, am I going to wait to buy shares until day 48 and then boom? Or, for those that are building the aircraft, if they've been given a timeline and they got 49 days left to prove out this product, again, I get to go to bed with my head feeling good, because I feel like I have a solid thesis in my portfolio, not just Archer, in my portfolio, and these guys, if they're going to bed tonight, it's with, I got to get this right tomorrow, or I need to keep bettering this tomorrow. So again, big props to Team Joby, Team Archer, Team Beta, Team Vertical, Team Horizon, like the engineers, the designers, the CEOs, like, that are on the floors every day and legit, like, making this happen. So that's all. Just ranting.
You're both correct. Archer is not Joby and Joby is not Archer. Perhaps they shouldn't be compared, but when things are going great for Archer, they want to see the comparisons to Joby. I'll let you answer that one.
It was, first thing that comes to mind is, it's probably 3 earnings calls ago now, where the shots were getting fired. Now, keep in mind, Joby does their earnings call first, and it was the first one that Joe Ben seemed like he had a really solid, like, prepared remark statement to come to. And I'm not gonna misquote, but I can come back for you guys on eVTOL Live and break down the actual notes. But that's like when the shots started getting fired. And it was like, whoa, what's going on here, man? I thought these guys were buddies, or the industry was buddies. And then, had Adam out on the next one doing that too. Now, I don't want to misspeak if Adam would have happened to say something on a earnings call that would have happened post Joby, and then Joe Ben started kind of firing the shots back out. But you can go through the earnings calls, and whether it's Rob, the CEO of Blade, like, answering the questions during the Q&A for Joby 2 and really stamping the table on what he feels about his company and or other companies. It was very interesting to start seeing the divide, not just in the, I'll just call it like PR, but also the divide that they were willing to take to the earnings calls and really stamp on the table for their own companies, and kind of take the relative shots at the other ones. So, I just don't, Joby's the firstborn child. Sometimes the firstborn gets treated the best. Sometimes the firstborn gets the most chances, and sometimes the firstborn gets treated the worst. I'm sure everybody has different family experiences. Same with the middle child. Maybe the middle child is the baby that everyone loves because it was a baby once, and then now you got Horizon, who's like the true baby of the family. So now the middle kid's like, well, I used to, that was my role. What's going on here? But again, it's just, it's crazy to see a year. Like, think about this time last year, what sort of conversations will we be having either on these companies individually or respectively together on, again, just manufacturing, ramp, build, lean in from US, Asia, UAE partners, vertiport build outs. I mean, we're 60% done with having a vertiport done for Joby. I mean, we weren't able to talk about that last year. That was a question. When is the infrastructure coming up? That was one of my biggest thesis questions to this whole thing, because we're not having the eVTOLs if we don't got the infrastructure. If we do not have the infrastructure, sorry for that. So it's one of those things. It's cooking, and it's all marinating together, and yeah, it's exciting. It makes me smile, as you can see. It's interesting eVTOL times for sure.
Culper isn't a big news. It's only a major topic for anyone who cares. You two are so prepared. Do you know what it is, Ivy?
My fault.
I can see all the chat going off there on that screen, but for some reason on our streaming software here, I am well behind. I get it in like 20 message chunks. So I do apologize, guys. I'm trying to, and if I do skip any of your comments, don't be offended.
Yeah, fire it back.
Doesn't just nail that. If he says, he sees cracks, he would ask questions. Some of us see cracks and are asking questions, nothing more. Big shot. And if that's how you genuinely feel, there's no problem in that at all. Sale is his fault. Mike, I think their problem is they're so far behind in relation to the chat. Yeah, my guy. Maybe, but I know these two. I know and interact with these two great accounts all the time.
Appreciate them.
Shout out, my guy.
Big
shout. Do you know what? We need to bring you on. Do you know what it is? I think sometimes I see these chats popping off left, right, and center, and I'm trying to answer one question while reading another, and then trying to listen and everything. If I come across like I'm being annoyed with you guys, unless I genuinely and I'll tell you to F off.
You'll know, Liam. Yeah, really. You'll know
when I'm genuinely pissed off with you
Absolutely.
guys. So honestly, don't worry about it. No doubt, it's why we're here. Big shot, my guy.
Okay.
Who's Culper? Dax.
There you go, Dax.
I know for certain this one guy who knows who Culper is, man. I do not ask these questions because I am short or anti-Archer. I ask because I'm literally trying to understand each your convictions, to understand your stances and informed inquiry. Big shot on my guy. Culper Research is short seller. Sure. Well, please believe that I'm not disputing. Oh, look, it's happened again. It's literally just flipped. I've got another 20 in. Please, Liam, believe me that I'm not disputing you. I'm just sharing my foresight, mindset, recognition of which I appreciate about Harvard. I indeed respect and appreciate your intelligence too. No, genuinely, I wasn't making an example of you. No. I've probably explained it in the wrong way. What I was saying.
That's the compliment. Yeah. It's like, it's like, we know you know.
What I was saying is you have great knowledge on Horizon aircraft.
Yeah.
And I was just saying, this is why I'm so passionate about Archer Aviation, because I feel like we know them enough to rebut some disputes. But it wasn't you I was referring to, my guy. I was only making an example of you because you were saying that you knew a lot about Horizon aircraft, and I just said it would be the same if I was saying about Horizon aircraft. So honestly, don't worry, I wasn't firing shots at you, my guy.
And real quickly, just like
off, I need to just go on the field, my guy.
Real quickly, I was gonna say something like, I think the cusp was the word I was trying to think of. I think both of these companies and even Horizon, like all of these companies are on the cusp of, and then you have to fill that in for your either highest conviction company or, again, your basket of eVTOLs, if you're invested in more than one. There's multiple cusps that these are on. Archer's on the cusp of VTOL. Joby's on the cusp of type certification. Hover's on the cusp of building out the X7. Vertical's on the cusp of, like, again, the vertical Velo come in, and seeing transition with that. Beta continuing to prove out CTOL and moving further with VTOL, and logging the largest nautical miles. I mean, it's like, we could get an octagon and put all these get like a leader from all these companies in the, like a retail leader in the company, and like just like see who meets in the middle, and it would be a bath, because all of these companies are exciting to us, because I think there's something around the corner, and not financial advice, but I think there's something around the corner that we all see in our conviction. And that's okay if you don't see it in one company's in one company, but you see it in yours, because that, again, that, yeah,
Here we go. Are Joby still going ahead with the lawsuit for corporate espionage against Archer regarding the guy who passed on Joby intellectual property? How do you think this will affect both companies? Well, I do believe it's going ahead still.
There was a motion for dismissal. Yeah, it was a motion for dismissal, because I know that I was talking to you. I don't want to misquote it for you guys, but I was talking to Liam after the stream. We were talking it up about the two that were out there, and I was saying it looked like
one you were saying is complete. Is it gone or is it pushed back?
So with the Aerosonic one, that has been pushed to 2027. So it looks like Joby will not be in court with Aerosonic. We won't be in court with Aerosonic minimally until 2027, which I think is a great sign for the industry as a whole, because if they were pushing this data probe thing, and Aerosonic, again, you can do your research, but it's a company that's been around for 50 years. They do military. They're not like a 1 year ago type company, just for short term to put it. So for me, seeing that was pushed back till 2027 is like, okay, we don't want to see these companies in the courtrooms. For me, I want to see all the CEOs at the events they need to be at. Depending on if it's a CEO that's a manufacturer, basically all the C-suite, I just want to see them where they're at. I don't want to see defamations and lawsuits and hearings. But I do believe that the Joby and Archer, so as you know, it got moved to federal court, and I'm so sorry. I had a better update on this, because no. This is what it was. I'm so sorry. They did the motion to dismiss it. That's what I thought. Archer filed a motion to dismiss on January 23rd, 2026, arguing complaint is opaque, relies on speculation, and fails to identify specific trade secrets. So sorry to take an extra second, but I was like, I know that happened, but I was like, I don't want to say that it happened unless I did a quick spot check. But yeah, that's the update.
Perfect point. Good. Do find the chat. I don't. Max says, by the way, I appreciate you both truly. I love the interactions, knowledge and power, and together we are educated and make better decisions. And that is true facts. I love how I said this before, in any debate or anything, this is what I love. It comes around full circle again. Everyone bashes it out and everyone's friends in the end. And that's why we appreciate you, Matt. What will be the impact to the overall industry when Beta get the first FAA type certification on their electric engine? Well, it'll be positive for the whole industry. Look, as you start seeing all of these get ticked off, it's just going to be positive. I think we get too bogged down in the specific companies sometimes. As the whole industry progresses, as the green lights get ticked, it's positive for all companies involved, because they're not so much as competition to each other at the moment, because there's just so much TAM. So we get bogged down a little bit too much. Dylan will be back in a minute. No problem, my guy. Jumping back, I've just got another load of messages. So the lawsuit is still valid, March 26th. Correct me if I'm wrong. Believe it is. I know Joby's has been pushed back. Dylan was looking, but I'm more or less certain it still is. Oh, we never answered that question, did we? So look, put it this way. I think if Archer, I don't think it'll be as bad for Joby if Archer win the case, it's not going to affect Joby too much. If Joby win the case, my God, it will be bad for Archer. And the thing is, I actually think I will start losing a lot of hope in Archer if it did come out correct. Look, innocent until proven guilty. Let's be honest, B is going down harder than the Titanic, like anyone really wants electric CTOL. But as battery technology does start improving, it's the way the world will go eventually. But I don't want to get too much into the whole CTOL versus VTOL again. When you're VTOLing, you take out a lot of performance when it comes to the amount of battery power you have on board. VTOL takes an awful lot more power to generate on the vertical takeoff and landing. So that is why they go for CTOL. And if you think most of these, if they come on a jetliner, there's already a runway there. So just the way you go. I think we'll get the CTOL approved relatively soon. Will be good for Joby. Archer may need an offering. Frank, you've been saying it a while. Now you two are way behind. Beta's already done piloted. I'm going to skip a few. Got to run. Thanks for all the research content and time you both spent. Keep it up. Cheers to an eVTOL future. My guy, we're going to have a beer eventually when this sector takes off. Whether it's Archer, Joby, whether it's both, we're going to be there.
Yes, enjoy the night, Mac. Enjoy it.
Just for your information, Joby has been shorted also. Has it been shorted by Culper though? I know it's been shorted. I know Morgan Stanley done a short report on them, didn't they?
Yeah, that whole like inverse, yeah.
That was very dodgy on them.
It was, yeah, that was interesting.
I invite you guys rock. Big thank you, my guy. The hearing on Archer's motion to dismiss is scheduled for March 24th, 26th. Do you really think Joby's on the cusp of type certification? They haven't unveiled. Oh my God.
The bag.
Can we go one stream without this question, my guy?
The bag's been here since the beginning. He's our guy. He's our bag of holding.
Did you leave that like just in the pocket ready? We'll wait for the chat to calm down. And we'll unleash it. We'll set Liam off again. Yeah. As you should, if Joby wins, Archer. I genuinely do think that it's not a good look if you get found guilty of stealing trade secrets.
For sure.
I think.
For sure.
Yeah. It's not good. Put it that way. But you're innocent until proven guilty. So we don't know what's going to happen. Dylan.
Yeah, man.
I need a beer after this.
The Culper, man.
This one was stressful, my guy.
The Culper beer.
Guys, please make that subscriber wheel spin. We want to be at 4,500 by our next stream. Do smash that like button. But if we get 100 likes, I will reach out to Culper, see if they'll come on. I'll hard reach out to them. I'll try my best to get them on. If not, I'm not that bothered. I think we dealt with the Culper report pretty well. I'm never going to look at it again. But don't wait. I didn't look at the other one since the last time. It was only I just quickly reviewed over it there.
2 point.
But we'll probably be looking at Culper this time again next year. But look, my name's Ian. I'm the host of Bravos here with co-host, the other OG hustle brother Dylan. Dylan, it's been a long one.
It's been fun, man.
It's been a wild one.
And only one knock from my kiddo.
Right, guys. I don't know how I'm doing a video tomorrow. I'm gonna do a. Do you know what, Andrew? You put in the super chat, my guy. Let me know. Do you want a video or a live stream tomorrow? And if you want a video, let me know what video.
Awesome.
Yeah. We'll let Andrew decide. He's the star of the show today.
Love it. That's awesome. That's awesome.
But you know what, guys? Smash the like on the way out. And if you haven't, bang that subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, by the way, this is day 40. I nearly forgot about that. This is day 40 of the VTOL challenge.
40 for 40 so far.
Right, guys. We'll see you then.